Hi, hey everybody, it's Ike's. Obviously, um, I'm making this video because Snoopy came to me and asked me to help her raise money for her friend who is in an abusive situation. Um, I know a lot of people uh, know about abuse and stuff, but it is very dear to me and very close to home for me. So I'm going to make this video and I'm going to ask everybody to come help Snoopy raise funds. There will be 3 different items put up. An 1842 seated Liberty. It has been cleaned in the past by a previous owner. From my understanding, it wasn't Snoopy nor the person that she bought it from, but it was a long time ago. But it is in very nice condition. Uncleaned, it books in at about $1,000. Um, she is asking $550. So what we're gonna do is run $5 a spot, 110 spots. It will close at 110 spots. There will, if you don't get in, you don't get in. Um, and then she has two 10-ounce bars that she's gonna sell also, and we're gonna do those at $4 a spot, um, for as many spots. And as soon as we figure it out, I think it's like, I don't know, 100, 110, and 85 respectively, depending on the bar. But it's going to be reasonable to get in. This is to help her get her friend out of an abusive situation. Now, I make this video because of that also, but because, remember, I told you that it's very dear to my heart. My oldest daughter, who just happens to be her birthday today, was in a very, very abusive situation. If you've ever seen the movie Enough with J-Lo in it, um, that doesn't even come close to what happened to my daughter. And at the end of the movie, the cop looks at her and tells her she's one of the lucky ones. Well, I'm going to tell you, my daughter was one of the lucky ones. Um, the man hit her constantly. I mean, with a closed fist, not an open hand, with a closed fist. He broke an acoustic guitar over her, leaving a scar all the way down her body. She's had 8 broken bones, the worst of being her broken jaw, which she had to have wired shut for 8 weeks. And she was in the hospital for a few days afterwards. Just he locked her in the garage when the police were sent, and he lied to them and told them I had the key to the garage because my stuff was in there. That was a total lie. He was hiding her from the police so they wouldn't arrest him. What we found out during his trial and everything is he'd already been arrested twice. One for putting ligatures around little tiny boys' penises, sexual assault, and for beating up his ex-wife. Also, he was in prison for. So we didn't know much about him, and my daughter wasn't really forthcoming about who he was and what his past was, because she knows how I am about this kind of stuff. Well, I can tell you right now that he had punched her, and I mean punched, full-fledged, open, male hand punch her in the face about 100 times. Her temple bone was broken. The bruising had gone by the time I got her to go to the police. It took me forever to convince her what was going on was wrong, because she was in the cycle. When she finally left, we went to the police. He showed her where he was going to bury her. He paid somebody to kill her. Thank God they got him on breaking and entering, and he was he thought he was going to bargain away state's evidence for his payment to kill her to get out of the B&E. Well, they already had the guy that was trying to kill my daughter in custody, and they had him in custody, so no way did they need to make a deal. uh, just when they interviewed her, I literally had to hold her hand. No lie, she was scared to death. I literally had to hold her hand through the interview with not only the police department, but with the DA as well. And they have specialized cameras. She didn't have bruising on the outside that you could physically see, but when they took the pictures, it showed the bruising on the bone that was ever there. I mean, it was horrible, the things that my daughter went through. Um, it her oldest daughter came to me at 4 and said she didn't like the way Dave is hitting his mommy, and I'm like, okay, now this makes sense, you know. I'd heard a slap early on in the relationship. I thought it was just play. She came up with a black eye once or twice, and he explained it away that she fell off the steps. But she kept her head down, and I'd never known my daughter to be as shy as that. There were a lot of things. When I confronted him about hitting my daughter, I told him he had better not hit her again, or otherwise he was going to deal with me. He looked at me and he says, I'm third generation, don't give a fuck. And I smiled at him, and I looked at him, and I said, you know what? I am fourth generation hillbilly justice. And then I left. I told him to keep his hands off my daughter while I was trying to get her out of the situation. Apparently, within 24 hours, he was beating her up again. My daughter gave up her custodial rights to her 4-year-old to her ex-husband, who's just as bad. He was money hungry, but it was the best situation for the baby at the time. And there's a reason. One of the things that was done to her was he rigged her car so the hood wouldn't latch. And she was driving down one of the faster roads here at 50 miles an hour, and the hood flew up and shattered the windshield. And she was lucky there was a spot to be able to pull over in, because she had the baby in the car. And this guy was just, oh my God. They finally caught him. He had beat up his roommate, busted her jaw. She was in the hospital getting her mouth worked on. And then he tried to beat up another girlfriend. He had punched her in the face at Home Depot. People were concerned. They were calling the police on him. He threw her back into the van that wasn't his. And he was on a tremendous amount of ketamine at that point. And a horse tranquilizer. And he was forcing her with a bloody face to give him head in the car as he was driving. And he got off the road and he missed the turn, and he almost flew into a 30-foot ravine that has a good sized creek in it. When they pulled him out of the car, his pants were down around his ankles. There's blood all over his genitals and everything. So they just booked him. And pulled charges. She didn't want to make charges, but because of the control issues. So, but they got him. His mommy went through that same stuff with his father, but she just kept taking it, and she put up her houses to bail him out 3 times. Apparently, when he beat her up in front of her, that was it. Mom pulled bail, and he was stuck in jail. We had talked with the DA on multiple accounts, pushed for the maximum sentence. He had been feeding the cat meth. The cat was just, oh my God, just you couldn't touch her. She was just so freaked out all the time. It took 6 months to get her back, you know, to be able to just touch her. You know, you couldn't touch her. She had to come to you, and then you couldn't still touch her. She was just the meth. What the meth did to the cat was horrendous, as well. My daughter became a drug addict because he was shooting her up with heroin to keep her from going to the hospital, and this went on for about 18 months before I started getting involved, and she never came to me. Otherwise, it would have been stopped a long, long time ago. I am way, 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 way against spousal abuse. There's just no need for it. If you are in a bad situation, get the hell out. Get out. Get counseling. Because you are in what they call the cycle. You cannot go without being abused. After just a couple of months of being taken through this control, you have already resigned yourself to the control, so you need it in your life. You need to get counseling. Because there's the, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, and then the honeymoon period where they're giving you gifts, and then all of a sudden they just burst, and they start punching and hitting and telling you you're useless and you're not worth a goddamn dime. Get out. Save yourself. Save your children if there are children involved. Unfortunately, a lot of children end up doing the same thing that they were prone to seeing or hearing. And they go back in and they start doing the cycle themselves. Break the cycle. Get out. Okay? Get out. My daughter is a survivor. She's a lucky, lucky person. She can actually say, I'm a lucky one. Because that man was going to kill her. If he couldn't have her, nobody else could. Get help. Don't let them know what you're doing. Don't, get to the free clinics. Get to the groups. Know that there are other people going through this stuff. It doesn't need to happen that way. If somebody is even verbally abusing you, pretending that you don't know shit, or you can't remember anything, or you can't make decisions because you always mess it up, that is a form of control. It's a form of verbal abuse. Get out. Nobody, but nobody, should be telling anybody how to live. In a relationship, you work together. You talk things out. You don't force one partner or the other to do something. You talk about it. You decide together as a family. All right? Don't let people do this to you. You have just as much rights as that other person. Nobody has the right to tell you or try to convince you that you are stupid, that you cannot remember anything, that you don't know how to handle anything, because you can. Yes, it's scary, but you can do it. You can get through it. Please, if you're in a situation like this, get help. My daughter is a living testament to getting out and being a lucky one.